Welcome to the SVG-TV news for Friday, October 1st. I'm Khalil Keita with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has recorded 5 COVID-19 deaths in 24 hours. This was announced in a news release this evening by the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, which said the 5 persons died during the period September 30th, yesterday, to October 1st, today, of COVID-19 pneumonia. One of the victims is a 44-year-old male who tested positive for COVID-19 on Tuesday. The second is a 46-year-old male who tested positive for COVID-19 on September 19th. The third is an 87-year-old male who tested positive on Monday. The fourth is a 50-year-old male who tested positive on Tuesday, and the fifth, a 27-year-old female who tested positive on Wednesday. The 5 who were admitted to the COVID-19 ward at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital were all unvaccinated. Their deaths bring the country's COVID-19 death toll to 26. NEMO said there are currently 22 patients admitted for COVID-19 at the Argyle Isolation Facility. 21 are unvaccinated and 1 is fully vaccinated. 29 patients have also been admitted to the COVID-19 ward at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. 26 are unvaccinated, 2 are partially vaccinated, and 1 is fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, 55 new positive cases were reported from 356 samples processed on Wednesday, resulting in a positivity rate of 15.4%. 4 cases were detected on exit screening. All other cases are contacts of known positive cases and persons seeking care. 44 rapid antigen positive results were reported for Wednesday, September 29th. 8 new recoveries were noted over the reporting period. 1,093 cases are currently active, and 26 persons with COVID-19 have died. 3,563 cases of COVID-19 and 2,444 recoveries have been recorded in SVG since March 2020. Health authorities say in view of the confirmed presence of the Delta, Mu, and Gamma variants in the country and the significant increases in the number of new infections, transmissions, severe COVID-19 disease and deaths, strict enforcement and compliance with all protocols and recommendations by everyone is strongly recommended. These are the correct and consistent use of masks, avoidance of crowds, physical distancing, proper hand sanitizing, and immunization with available vaccines have all been proven to significantly reduce the risk of being infected, getting sick, and/or dying from the COVID-19 virus. Since teachers have already been classified as frontline workers by UNICEF, the United Nations, and other international organizations, there is very little the SVG Teachers Union could have done about Cabinet's decision to include teachers as frontline workers who will be expected to take the available COVID-19 vaccines. This is according to President of the SVGTU, Oswald Robinson, who told SVG-TV News via a telephone interview that he is, however, very disappointed with the way in which Cabinet made the decision on Wednesday without having a meeting with the union.
Because in fact are frontline workers because they are interfacing with children, which are very vulnerable. They are interfacing with the public. But the way in which the government set out to do this thing is really disappointed, because we went to a meeting yesterday, with a commission that is more or less responsible for soliciting information from stakeholders in crafting the legal instrument. And we were there discussing an instrument which did not have teachers listed as a frontline worker, whereas the cabinet and the prime minister would have said that the day before. You see, you're calling me to have consultation, but you already gone to the parliament and you do what you have to do. You already put that in the instrument. So what sense does it make come to consult? What are you consulting about? I can't go and rubber stamp something which is against the membership. The membership said there should be no mandatory vaccination, but the government now has already made it a law. In fact, that document is at the printery to be printed, and he called me yesterday to speak about it.
The SVGTU president said to ensure the safety of all teachers, the union has raised several concerns and conditions in letters sent to the relevant authorities regarding the vaccination of teachers and responsibility of liability in the event of adverse effect.
We also said that the government should, because you're required, it's a requirement now for the workplace, as they say, want to make the workplace safe. We said that the government should pay for the test, because as you know, teachers, just like other public workers, their salaries have been frozen by this government going in 2 years now. Teachers have not received any increase in salary. And to ask them to pull out $50 per month to pay for a test, that is asking too much, right? And then we also say to the government that in the event that a teacher who takes the vaccine suffers from any adverse effect or, God forbid, dies, the government should stand the liability for that. So we have been asking that also, So those were our areas of concern. We know that the amendment to the SRO or the new instrument, it allows options, for example, on religious grounds and also of medical reasons. Those persons who have those concerns, they could ask for exemption. But under the Constitution, where it says freedom of your conscience, not really on religious grounds, but just your idea, your thought. It doesn't have to be that you belong to a religion, but because of your spirituality or your belief, which is a right under the Constitution. The SRO does not apply to that.
While the Teachers Union awaits a response to the concerns raised in its correspondence to the authorities in Parliament yesterday, Minister of Education Curtis King reiterated the ministry's position that once face-to-face teaching commences, teachers across the island will have to be vaccinated and all other protocols followed. Meanwhile, the Teachers Union president said that the spike in COVID-19 cases in the country is not the only reason for the virtual reopening of school on Monday.
And while that may be so, that is just one of the reasons why schools are not going back face-to-face at this point in time. But there are other reasons. In fact, there are a number of schools, for example, in the red zone, which a lot of furniture were being damaged. And as a result of that, the government will need more time now to replace those furniture. I know, for example, this Sandy Bay Primary School is a typical case. A lot of the furniture was damaged, and therefore, government has to find more time to replace those damaged furniture. Again, the school has to be properly sanitized. And that is so for a number of schools, because up to Monday of this week, when we had a meeting with the Ministry of Education, there was still a lot of outstanding work to be done, okay? In terms of fogging, sanitization, disinfecting and schools and so on to get rid of termites. There are a lot of repairs which are going on.
In Parliament yesterday, Minister of Education Curtis King outlined the plans for the phased reopening of schools. Phase 1 of the reopening will be done virtually for the next 2 weeks. For Phase 2, which may include face-to-face classes, the Education Minister said this will be dependent on whether the schools can accommodate physical distancing. He said the rotation of classes is another option, and priority will be given to the students in the entry and exit classes. The SVG-TU president said in Arnesvale, where the temporary schools are being built, it will take a little more time before children can have classes in these schools.
Schools which are being built at Arnesvale, I know up to last week, the forces from Roxas would have said that they had to be putting on toilets. And when you paint a building for the first time, then you have to allow it to be, the scent of the paint to be properly ventilated and so on and so forth. Plus, you have to get the people from the inspectorate department to go and inspect the electricity fittings, ensure that it meets the required standards. So there are a lot of things to be done, and then plus transportation, and then I know the government planning to put a bridge out Arnesvale. All those things have to be in place, so they could not have been ready yet. So while the hype in the COVID cases is a factor, there are other variables that would have influenced the Ministry of Education to go in the direction to have online school for 2 weeks, and then with a blended approach. The grade K students and the grade 1 students who were grade K last year, they still have not received their tablets, Also, parents would have needed some more time to get their students properly organized.
Robinson also spoke on the conditions of the schools in the Grenadines, which he said continue to be an issue.
Which there was a special project was supposed to be done, and the Teachers Union would have reported conditions at that school in 2019 and also last year, 2020. So it is good to see that work is being done, and the people in Beckway, it's long overdue, and we look forward that it would enhance the learning environment for the students. Also, the Kingston Anglican School, that is still a sore issue. That school is still operated in a glove factory, which is not really the ideal for teaching and learning. And then the Mary Hart is a primary school in Union Island. The students are still crammed into a community center, a resource center, which is not really suitable for teaching and learning also. And then you have the Myro School, which is unfenced. The principal's office is still a 1970 building, which has outlived its usefulness, and it's really dilapidated, and that needs to be fixed.
Health Promotions Officer Shanika John has said they have seen an increase in persons coming forward to take the COVID-19 vaccines, especially the Pfizer. Speaking on radio today, John said that some vaccination sites are being overwhelmed.
Seeing it, which is the reason why our systems are a bit overwhelmed, our permanent sites. In the Kingston area in particular, I think because a lot of persons, once they come into Kingston, then you're just trying to find an alternative to get everything done.
Right.
Yesterday we were in Heritage Square. We saw a lady with her child in Heritage Square. She said to me she's not ready. And then I met her at Massey again, and she said, well, you're following me, so I'll take it now.
Which is a good thing, I guess.
So, you know, people are still warming up to the idea of the vaccine, of the vaccination. We do recognize that there are some persons who are not coming to town. We're definitely seeing an increase in terms of the number of persons taking specifically the Pfizer vaccine. So we're now trying our best to ensure that it is really available to persons.
According to the Health Promotions Officer, more Vincentians have been affected by the COVID-19 virus, either directly or indirectly, which she believes is the reason that more people are coming forward to take the jab.
See, the thing is, I think for a lot of Vincentians, I think at this particular time, the coronavirus pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, it's getting closer and closer to home. And when I say home, I don't mean St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I mean to you as an individual. And so the deaths are getting closer and closer to you as an individual, the people you know, the people you surround yourself with. And so people are now left to a point as what's next. And there's nothing new about what's next. The what next is continue to do all the precautionary measures that we have been advising over the year. Wash your hands, wear your face mask properly, keep your distance. And I think now it's even at its peak reason why you should get vaccinated, especially in instances where you work and you interact with the public a lot. You're considered a frontline worker. You're considered...
The protocols for outdoor and indoor gatherings are reportedly not being followed, which is a concern for the COVID-19 task force. Speaking on that issue, the Health Promotions Officer said that the task force is looking at ways to tighten these protocols.
I really want to plead with Vincentians that this is really the time for us to ensure that we have an adequate, safe space in which we can function. We're really not pleased from the Ministry of Health, from the coronavirus task force in particular, in terms of the gathering and the failure to comply to the mass gathering requirements. We're still seeing more than 20 persons outside. We're still seeing more than 10 persons inside. Even with funerals and weddings and so forth, we're still seeing quite a number of persons. And we're currently discussing to see what measures we really need to put in place to ensure that people really comply. And it's not about an individual preference or individual basis. From the Ministry of Health, we have to think about it from a national standpoint to protect everyone.
A legislative framework is now in place for the improved administration and management of the public service. The Public Service Management Bill 2021 was tabled in Parliament yesterday by Minister responsible for the public service, Frederick Stevenson, who said that the rules and orders used in the past were archaic. He said following a court matter involving the public service in 2018, the judge highlighted weaknesses in the civil service orders, hence the need for a new piece of legislation.
This very important piece of legislation that we are bringing to the Parliament today as part of the findings of the final report to 1, formally appoint the head of the public service, 2, establish a committee of permanent secretaries, 3, establish a personnel department. The existing department is called the Services Commissions Department. However, this existing department does not only operate as a secretariat for the Public Service Commission.
Minister Stevenson said he expects a modern public service that is functional and effective. noting that the new legislation empowers the Public Service Minister to carry out some major functions.
Madam Speaker, the final clause, Clause 11, would empower the Minister of the Public Service to make regulations to give effect to the Act, to this Act. This clause would also provide that where there is a conflict between the regulations made by the Minister and an existing collective agreement, that the collective agreement prevails. In addition, the clause would deem the civil service orders in use and in force immediately prior to the commencement of this Act to have been prescribed under Section 11, thereby converting the civil service orders to regulations, subsidiary legislation. Madam Speaker, I believe that with the passing of this very important piece of legislation, that we would have a better civil service here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where persons understand their roles, their functions, their duties.
Also contributing to the debate on the Public Service Management Bill was Minister of Finance Camilo Gonzalez, who said that the legislative framework now in place strengthens the civil service orders.
The legal footing that is necessary to avoid the sort of dicta that we heard from the learned judge, who said, I see your civil service orders, but they're not promulgated in Parliament, they're not promulgated as pursuant to any rule-making or law-making authority. So what you have there is a document. So that is essentially what this legislation is about. It's about bringing the civil service orders from an uncertain status to the status where they have regulatory grounding, and that we hope, and the law provides, that as we go, we will update and modernize those civil service orders, and they will have the proper legislative force. That is essentially what this bill is about.
A bill for an act to make provisions for methods and payment of court fees and percentages for the establishment of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court Improvement and Administrative Fund and for connected purposes was passed in Parliament yesterday. The bill, which was tabled by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, authorizes the Director General of Planning and the Accountant General to decide on certain matters regarding payments to the court.
Clause 3 will empower the Chief Justice and two other judges of the Supreme Court to make the rules to fix the fees to be paid in the courts and the court offices. Clause 4 provides the methods of payment of court fees. The methods will include credit cards, debit cards, cash, check. Payment may also be made, still permissible, in stamps, where it is not feasible to pay by any of the prescribed methods. Clause 5 seeks to allow the Chief Justice to issue practice directions regarding the procedure for the acceptance of payment by any method prescribed in the bill and the manner of evidence in proof of payment by any method other than stamps.
Prime Minister Gonzalez said that the Chief Justices in the Eastern Caribbean support the move to improve payments, which he said is a good public policy. As it relates to a fund being set up, the Prime Minister said that the funds will help to provide training and other improvements to the court.
Contains clauses 14 to 17, deals with the provisions relevant to the establishment of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court Improvement and Administration Fund, hereinafter known as the Fund. Clause 14 will establish the fund and Clause 14 gives the Minister of Finance regulation-making powers with respect to the fund. The clause also provides that monies in the fund are to be kept separate from monies of other special fund. Clause 15 sets out the purpose of the fund, and such purpose will include the training of court staff, purchasing of court equipment, maintaining and repairing of court facility, the support of special projects approved by the Chief Justice in consultation with the Minister of Finance, the payment of the annual contribution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to the Supreme Court, and any other purpose authorized by the Chief Justice in consultation with the Accountant General.
And some news now on the weather. A tropical wave is currently crossing the islands, bringing periods of light moderate rain, pockets of moderate heavy showers, and thunderstorm activity across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Persons in areas prone to flash flooding or near rivers and streams are asked to remain on the alert. The SVG Met Services says a reduction in shower activity is expected tomorrow, with moderate, occasionally thick haze across our area. Isolated showers are likely on Sunday with slight haze. Cloudiness and showers and thunderstorm activity could increase across our Grenadine Islands during Monday night, and residents are asked to be on the alert. Small craft operators, sea bathers are also asked to exercise caution for reduced visibility above normal sea swells and occasional gusty winds. The second phase of the ash cleanup project in the red zone was officially launched on Wednesday. The first phase of the cleanup exercise took place immediately after the explosive eruptions of the La Soufrière volcano ended in April. The project, organized by the United Development Program, UNDP, and funded by the Kingdom of Spain, is to assist with SVG's recovery efforts after the volcanic eruption, which displaced thousands of people from the red and orange zones. Speaking at the launching of phase 2 of the ash removal project yesterday, SVG's Honorary Consul of the Kingdom of Spain, Dr. Jules Ferdinand, spoke of the personal commitment of Spain's ambassador in Trinidad to help with the rebuilding exercise in SVG.
After the eruption, he was on the phone to me indicating his commitment to impress upon the government of Spain the need to make a contribution to help with the rebuilding effort in the red zone. To that end, approximately $420,000 US, just over $1 million EC, had been allocated to this exercise. You see here behind me some of the cleaning equipment that is handed over to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I am aware that a lot more of that is still to come. As I said, the contribution is in the vicinity of $1 million EC, and therefore it will do a lot of good for the people in this part of the country.
Member of Parliament for North Windward and Minister of Transport and Works and Physical Planning Montgomery Daniel said that the relationship with the Kingdom of Spain, which was built in 1986, has grown over the years, and today they are seeing the fruits of the relationship.
Spanish Agency for International Development has come to our assistance in that, having recognized the devastation that has been done in this area and the need for the tremendous amount of cleaning to restore life to normalcy, that the Kingdom of Spain, through its agency, through its Spanish Agency of International Development, is bringing to bear just over $1 million EC to assist in the crisis recovery in this area. We are thankful and grateful for the contribution.
Minister Daniel thanked the government and the people of Spain for their support to SVG, especially to the people in the red zone who have had a devastating experience with the volcanic eruption.
And even where we are standing, we can see visually actions of the cleanup that is taking place in and around this area. The ashfall was tremendous, and it was even surprising in some areas that ashfall was up to 14 inches thick. And so, not only the heavy equipment is being needed at this time, we also need shovels, wheelbarrows, cutlasses, hose, power washers, all of those equipments you can think about to help in the cleanup process. It is indeed a mammoth task for our state-owned company, Braxa, to be able to do what is required to bring us back to that level of normalcy.
Tevin Bino, Curlissa De Silva and Joselle Lewis are this year's recipients of bursaries from the Mustique Charitable Trust. These bursaries are offered each year to students pursuing both certificate and undergraduate programs at the University of the West Indies Open Campus. Speaking at the award ceremony yesterday, Administrative Director of the Mustique Charitable Trust, Dullery Malcolm, said that over a 12-year period, 22 students from the UWI Open Campus SVG have received financial support from the Trust and have successfully completed their programs of study.
Of those candidates will be graduating in March of 2022. And currently we have 14, which would include the 3 new awardees who will be joining, currently pursuing studies at the UE Open Campus here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we can all say that the Mustique Charitable Trust and the UE Open Campus collaboration of this bursary program is quite a success, with so many young persons being able to pursue their dreams in their academic endeavors.
Malcolm encouraged the recipients of the bursaries to continue to push for excellence amidst the life struggles they may encounter.
I would like to say congratulations. You were selected from 38 applications. So it means, and it was a thorough selection process. It entailed the UE administration team who is here today and myself doing an initial selection, and then that being taken to the Mustique Charitable Trust UE Bursary Committee, and finally selecting the 3 of you. So I do hope that you appreciate how fortunate you are and ensure that you endeavor for your dreams, because each of you told us of your dream on the morning of your interview.
The head of the UWI Open Campus SVG, Deborah Dalrymple, also encouraged the recipients to do their best in their studies so that they can give back to their communities.
So when the Mustique Charitable Trust decides to partner with the university, that is also at the root of it. How much are these students going to give back to their community? And we are very happy in what we have seen thus far. And in your selection, we expect you to do the same, because community development, national development is what it's all about. And with those very brief remarks, I'll say thank you to everyone, and I want to wish our awardees all the very best going forward. Do not be afraid to reach out to us if you need to. Don't get yourself into hot water and then when you're boiling, you call us. Call to us as soon as you feel you're having an issue, because we're all adults, we all have other issues, and we're happy to be there to help you.
The bursary awards include a laptop, mentorship support, and 60% of students' university fees. Second-year students of the SVG Community College's divisions of Arts, Sciences and General Studies and Technical and Vocational Education will return to classes on October 11th. The college said it will continue with a blended approach, which the institution had successfully utilized in the past academic year. Prospective students awaiting the opening of the admissions portal to apply for the college are asked to note that the portal will be opened immediately after the release of this year's CXC results. The SVG-CC says anyone accessing its compound is reminded of the institution's COVID-19 protocols when on site, which are a temperature check, mandatory wearing of masks at all times, sanitization, and social distancing. In police news, police have arrested and charged Alvin Richardson, a 45-year-old laborer of Kingstown, with the offense of burglary. The accused man allegedly entered the Republic Bank Eastern Caribbean Limited as a trespasser and stole several items valued at $812 EC, the property of the bank, stolen between 8 a.m. and 1:50 p.m. on Saturday, September 18th at Halifax Street in Kingstown. The accused is to appear before the Serious Offences Court to answer the charge. Police have also arrested and charged Crystal Abraham, a 22-year-old domestic worker of Union Island, with the offense of wounding. The accused allegedly unlawfully and maliciously wounded a 54-year-old mason of Union Island by stabbing him on his shoulder with an unknown object at about 8 p.m. on Monday, September 13th in Union Island. The accused is expected to appear before the Kingstown Magistrates Court to answer to the charge.